Hello, welcome to episode 159 in the Datapack tutorial series. We're in version 1.2, 1.4. We're going to be doing mob health bars. This has been requested, I think, in ONesquiKO and I don't know, XOIS. How do I pronounce that? Choice? We could go with that. Requested health bars. Let me show you what it looks like. So we'll put down, he's got 20 out of 20 health. He is level 1. Now, level is red because he is an angry mob. He's on my angry mob list, and cow level is green. Now, let me just get rid of those so they're not making lots of noise. Well, let me demonstrate. If we hit them, their health will change colour as it gets lower. Oh my god, you're a tricksy one. And when he gets very low, it becomes red. And then obviously he'll die if I keep hitting him. Now, originally, it was requested that it said their type as well. But getting the entity type seemed to be a lot trickier than you think it would be. I can put it into a selector. That's no problem. But if I do it in the selector on the health bar, well, the health bar is a text display, so it just says text display. And I'm trying to save it to storage. The only thing I could think of was, let me get a couple of blocks. So let's say that is our entity. What I could do is I could summon an area effect cloud. And then I could make the entity ride the area effect cloud. Then I could target the area effect cloud and get the ID of its first passenger. That would work. But that would probably break with something like a spider jockey or a chicken jockey. So in the end, I just went with, if the level is in green, they're on the passive list, and in the level is on red, they're in the hostile list. Okay. Let's have a look at how we made it anyway. So, let me just dump off some of this, and let's get on and build it now. Here we are in VS Code. Let's have a look at the folders and files I've added. Inside my namespace function, I've added health bar for my functions, and we're going to use the load and the tick. And inside my namespace, I've added predicate to check if something has a vehicle. We're going to use that, so if the text display no longer has a vehicle, as in its entity, its riding has died, we'll kill the text display. Otherwise, we'll just have them floating around. And we've got some tag lists of entity types. So this is going to be to keep track of, so if it's on the passive list, its name will be green. If it's on the hostile list, its name will be red. And then display health will be a combination of these two lists squished together, and we'll just use that to check if we should do a health bar on that entity. Is this the best way to do this? I don't know. This is my first attempt at it, so it works. Can it be done better? Well, if you've got feedback, please give me some. It's always nice. We can all learn from it. Okay, let's start with a load. We need something to track the health. So we'll do scoreboard, objectives, add, and let's have a health dot, I suppose we want the current health. And we'll have that as a dummy. And I'll copy that actually. Paste another one in there, and we'll have a health max. The reason I'm having health current and max is it was requested that the health display changes color based on a percentage of the health. So when we were killing that cow, we saw its name change to yellow and then to red. And it's not saying, well, if the health is between 0 and 2, be red. It's checking a percentage, so we have to work out the percentage. Let's have a level. I don't know what level is for. It was just requested that a level is displayed, so I've done it as a scoreboard. If you want to change a level, you can just change the score of the entity. So scoreboard. This isn't actually used for anything in my tutorial. It was just part of the request. So we'll have a dummy. And we need a value. For this one, we're going to store some stuff in here for calculating the percentage. Scoreboard. Objectives. Add. Value dummy. Okay, let's save that. Nothing to check yet, so there's no point going off to check anything. I think we'll do, now my tick function requires a display health entity type tag list, which is made up of hostile and passive, and it requires a predicate, so we might as well do all of these first. Let's start with the easy ones. A list of passive entities. Okay, well, this is just going to be a list of anything I decide is passive. And all it's going to do is change that level to between red or green. That's all it's doing. So I'm going to say, well, a cow can be green. A cow is passive. If you want to add more, put a comma, and put the next one. No comma for the last one. And since I've only got one, cow is last, no comma. Okay, I'm just going to copy that. Copy, and I'm going to put it into hostile and paste it. Now I'll list all the things I want to have a red level, and we'll just say husk. Okay, and display health, let's paste that back in there. Display health is actually going to be made up of those two lists. So we'll say it contains hostile and it contains the passive. Okay, that's them done. Obviously, you probably want more than just husk and cow, so add all the other things you want in there. And predicate for has vehicle. Let's use misode. I've got it open. Yeah, okay, predicate. Entity properties. Entity is this. Predicate is vehicle. Done. We're not even going to specify a vehicle. We just want to know if it's got a vehicle. Copy that. Pop that into has vehicle. Like so. And that's done. Okay, we can move on to the tick. Tick. Tick all valid entities. So I want to tick anything that is in my display health list. So I want to tick anything that's in my hostile and passive list, because that's what it is. So let's execute as actually what I'll do is we'll run tick entity in here. That's what we'll do. So it'll execute as any entity. Don't know what I did there. Any entity whose type equals ID display health. Run function ID YT tick the entity. Okay, that seems all right. And we'll remove the lonely text displays. So these are the text displays whose entity has died. So we'll execute as any entity whose type equals text display, whose tag equals, I'm going to tag them with health bar, unless predicate has vehicle run kill s. Okay, so that'll tidy up the lonely ones. That looks all right. So we'll remove any that don't have entities, and we will tick any that we want to tick. Cool. I think we'll go off to tick entity. This is probably going to be the long one. Init any unchecked entity. Okay, so we need to initialize it. So we need to give it a text display, blah, 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 blah. Let's execute. Execute as S. I don't know why I can't type at all today. Whose tag equals not checked at S run. Now I'm going to do run return run, and hopefully I'll remember to come back and show you why I added that in. Function init entity. Okay. Store the current and the max health. So let's do execute store result as a score. It is a day of absolutely awful typing. At S health dot current run data get. I'm not too happy about doing a data get on an entity every tick. I'm sure this can be improved. We'll get its health. So we've stored its health. Then we will execute if score at S. Let's try and put it on a separate line so it works. At S health current matches less than 1 run scoreboard players set at S health current 1. Now the reason I'm doing this is because what I found is if its health dropped down to under 1, then it would display 0. And having a living entity running around with a health of 0 made a lot less sense than an entity dying and still displaying 1, and then the health bar disappearing. So I went with this. So the health bar will never display 0. It'll display 1, and then you're going to kill it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right, and now let's put them into storage so we can access them later. So we want the current health in storage, and we want the max health in storage. Execute, store, result, into storage, ID temp, that's what I usually use. We'll say entity dot health current as an integer, times it by 1, run scoreboard players get s health current, and I'm going to copy that. Copy health current we've already set. We just set that just up here, but we're also going to store entity health max, and we'll get that from health dot max. Now health dot max we haven't set yet, but we're going to be setting it in init entity. So what will happen is it will come in here, the mob hasn't been checked, it goes into init entity, it sets its max health, and the next time it comes down here it will have a max health. So we don't have to worry about it not being set yet. It will be set by init entity. So now in our temp we have entity health current and we have entity health max. We can pass that off to the text display later. Now we need to work out the percentage so we can decide what color to do the display. So how do we do just percent? We're going to have to do a bit of multiplication, won't we? Scoreboard players set, and let's have temp. This is a fake player. Temp health dot current. That seems all right, and we'll set its value to 100. So, and then we'll have to do a bit of multiplication. Yeah, let's do scoreboard players operation temp health current equals itself times the entities. Temp health current value equals itself times the entity's health current. So if the entity had 10 health, we're going to store 1,000 into total. Yep. Okay. So doing maths while, even though it's just times by 10, which you just stick a 0 on the end. Oh dear me. Okay. So we've multiplied that. Now let's stick a 1 into a temporary. Let's copy this. Copy that. And we'll say temp health max. And we'll save that as a 1. And then we will... Actually, do we need to set it as a 1? We're multiplying by 1 seems a bit pointless. I think what we could do here is we could probably just do an operation. Let's copy that. Let's do that. Temp health max equals max. Okay. So their current health is 2. It's now 20. And the health max. Okay, I think that's all right. We'll find out later. Oh dear me. Now we need to do the division. So we will scoreboard, players, operation, and temp health current dot value will equal itself divided by the max, temp health max dot value. That should give us a percentage. And now we want to decide what color to store in the data. So I think, well, first of all, we'll just store green. So let's do data modify storage ID temp entity dot health color set value green. But now let's do something different if the percentage is different. So let's do execute if score temp health current, because that's where we stored the percentage. Value matches, let's say if it is between 26% and 75%, then we will run and we'll copy this data modify command. Copy. So if you're between, first of all, we'll set it to green. And then we'll check your percent. Oh, you're between 26 and 75% health. Okay, in that case, you can be gold, sort of an orangey colour. Or, if you are 25 or less percentage of health, then we will make you red. Okay, so now in entity, or in ID temp entity, we have the health current, the health max, and a health color. Let's store the entity level. That's the scoreboard we're not really using for anything else, but it was part of the request. We will execute store result into storage ID temp entity dot level as an integer, times it by 1, run scoreboard players get at s level. Okay, save that. Let's store the type color. So this is where we are going to check which of the lists it's on. Is it on hostile or is it on passive? I think the first thing we'll do is we'll just set it to a default. So we'll just say, should we call it type color? Type color, and we'll set it to green. There we go. That'll do. But then we'll also say execute if entity at s type equals ID. If it's actually on the passive list, no, hostile list, because we've set it to green, which is passive. If it's on the hostile list, then we will run, we'll just copy this command here. Data modify that, set it to red. Okay, and now let's update the text display. Execute on passengers, run function, update display with storage ID temp entity. So update display now has access to everything in storage ID temp entity. So it's got access to the type color, the entity level, what else have we got here? Entity health color, and entity health max, entity health current. Okay, that should be done. Let's do init entity. Summon a text display. Okay, so let's summon a Minecraft text display at these coordinates. And let's give it some stuff. Alignment. I will set to center. Tags. Give it a tag. What did we call it? I think we called it health bar. Oh, look, it's already found it for us. We called it health bar. Text. Well, I suppose we want it blank. Can I just do apostrophe speaks March? Yeah, well, that seems happy. Okay. And we want some transformation information just to lift it up above the head a bit. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit too low. Left rotation will be default 0F, 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 1F. Let's copy some of that so we can have right paste rotation. And then we'll have scale, which I suppose we'll just have 1F, 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 so defaults, normal size. And translation, all of that, just so I can add one value in here. Don't translate it on the X. translate it half a block up on the Y. And don't translate it on the Z. Okay. And I think we want to make it into a billboard so it always faces the player. I think that's what billboard does. So if we do billboard and we set that to center, that should always face the player. Now we'll get that text display and make it ride our entity, ride the nearest entity. Well, this text display is summoned at the entity, so it's going to be the entity we want. Text display. Let's put the tag in there. Tag equals health bar. So the nearest health bar. And we are going to mount at S. Okay, that's all right. So since we are executing at the entity, we've summoned the text display at the entity. The text display, the nearest text display is going to be the one we just summoned. Store the entity's current health as max. Aha, this is where we're storing the current health. Execute. Store result as a score at S. What did we call it? Health max. Thank you very much for auto-filling that. Run attribute. Let's try and get all the letters on there. Run attribute at S. Max health. No, I don't want generic max health. Well, it depends which version you're in. I don't want that in this version. My spyglass is being weird. It's picking up on some strange stuff. I'm pretty sure that's right. We'll find out if it's not. Base get. Set the entity's level. Okay, this is that level score again that we're not using for anything, but was part of the request. So I just set the level in here. Scoreboard, players, set, S, level 1. And tag the entity so we don't initialize it again. Tag at S, add checked. Okay. And I don't think we've got anything we can really check yet. I suppose we could check the data to see what's in ID. Let's have a go and see what we get. Let's do a reload. Let's press F5. Let's stick something down. Bang, down you go. Right, you should have tried to do something. Storage. Data, get from storage. ID temp. Well, that's pretty good. We've got 20, which is the right health. 20 is 100% of 20. Health color green, it would be green. Level 1, yes, that's always 1. Type color would be red because it was hostile. Type selector at S. Oh, I think that's left over from when I was experimenting. Let me do a data remove storage ID temp entity. Okay, now let's summon something. Okay, that's better. That's everything we expect in there. Yeah, okay, so now if I summon a cow, I expect the change would be to the health, because cows only have 10 health, I think. But health color should still be green, but type color should be green as well. Yep, current health 10, max health 10. Health color green, because we've got it. Yep, okay, great. Let's go over to update display. So this seemed to be working. That's just VS Code. I'm on the wrong version. It's a pesty. My connection to the real world is not that great where I live. Update display. That's next, isn't it? Set the text displays text. Okay. So I think let's do this not as a macro first, and we'll just fill it in with some hard-coded data, and then we'll turn it into a macro. Data merge entity at S. Well, let's have a look at our tick entity first. Update, execute on passengers. Right, okay, so we're going to the entity that has a text display. The text display is its passenger, so we're running as the text display. Okay. At S, we want to merge in some text into its text. and we'll have a list of things we want to merge in. Okay, so let's just try 1, 2, 3 things. And let's set them all to text 1. Now, am I doing something very silly here, or is it just because they haven't got keys in that it doesn't like it? 1, 2. Are you going to be happy once I finish typing in text? No. Okay, so that means we'll have to have a look to see what we've done wrong. Okay, we're merging in text. Let's see. We probably need to put an apostrophe at the beginning of that and at the end of that. There we go. Okay. Right, let's do a little test on that. I don't know why I was going to press that. That's not going to help me reload. Reload. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Cool. And now I did remember, I can show you why I put this run, return, run here. Let me take that out. Because you think it's fine, because it's going to come in here, it's going to give it the health bar, and then it will continue on. But what I found is if we do that, we get this rather annoying. It's quite quick, but the health bar spawns here and then goes whoop and goes up. Whoop. And I don't like it. But if we put run, return, run in here, we're probably giving it an extra tick. So now when we do it, the health bar is instantly appearing above them. It's not doing that little jumping up thing. That's why I put that in there. Okay, let's go back to update display, because what we really need to do is just put in all these different lines. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line break thing. So if I put a backslash, I'm going to put a space before that, and I'm going to copy both of them. Copy. In fact, I'll cut it. Cut. And I'm going to separate my text. So each piece of text is on one line. So I'm going to paste that in there and split it. I'm going to paste it after the first entry of text and split it. The second entry and split it. And after the third entry and split it. Now this is much easier to read text. If we run, as we are, it should be exactly the same result we had before. There we go. As far as it's concerned, this is one command. Okay, so what do we need? We need, well, it was defined, I think we had an opening square bracket. So let's have that. In fact, let's copy this line. So we have an opening square bracket. Then we'll have the health. Then we'll have opening square bracket, then the health. Then we'll need a slash. Then we'll need the max health. Then we'll have a closing square bracket. Then we need to say level. And then we'll have a colon, and then we'll have the level. I think that's right. So let's just go down here. So we have an opening square bracket. Let's set the health to 5. Then we'll have a slash. 5 out of 10. Then we'll have a closing bracket. So what we've got there is open 5/10. We've got that at the moment. Then we probably want a space. So let's put a space after that. Space. Then we'll have level. So then we've got level. Then we'll have our colon. So colon. And then we'll have the level. 1. So that's what I'm expecting to get above the mob's head. That sort of look there. Okay, so we've hard-coded everything. Let's save that. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Yoink. 5 out of 10, level 1. Great. Okay, now we'll just turn it into a macro and fill in all our information. So, since we're going to be using a macro, we will say on the beginning of the command line, $, you are now a macro. And it's saying, but you haven't used any macros. I'm not happy. Don't worry. Right, first, I suppose, would be current health. So what did we call that? Let's go to our tick entity function. Current health we stored in entity health current. Well, that's a good name. Let's copy that. Copy. And let's replace the current health there, or our hard-coded health, with health current. And max health, well, we called that max health, so let's replace our hard-coded max health with the max. And I believe level we stored as level. That's that 1 there, so let's change that to level. Okay, well, that looks all right. And I think the other two things we stored were just colors, weren't they? So we'll check the colors in a minute. Let's do a test on this. 10 of 10, level 1. Well, level is always going to be 1, but health is going down. And as I said, if it ever gets to 0, see, so you can see it stayed as 1 as he died. I think that's preferable to having a mob running around with 0 health. Just having a 1 there as it died. I think that's better. Okay, let's put the colours in. So probably, let's hard code some colours. So we'd have that, we'd have that, we'd have colour, and I'm going to say dark grey. I'm going to attempt to say dark grey. Let's cut that, and we'll paste it in. We'll paste it in everywhere, actually. Let's just paste it in everywhere. So now it should be exactly the same, but all should be in dark grey. Yeah. And then we have a type color. So we were putting that on the level. We'll change the level, and we have a health color. So that would go on the health color, type color. Okay, let's copy health color. Copy. There's health max, health current. I think we'll change health current. Let's change that to health color. Let's change health max so it's always green. Let's change that word level, and we'll change that to, we called that type color. Type color, and part of the request was that the level got displayed in blue, so let's put a blue there. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Cool. 10 out of 10, level 1. And you're green, so level 1's right. Let's check your color goes down. 7, as you got to 75%. When you get to 25%, come back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and if we put something down that's on the hostile list, we get level in red, level in green. Nice. Okay, let's get rid of them. And if we put down a mob that's not in either of the lists, we don't even bother targeting it. Okay, we're done. My first attempt at a health bar. As I said earlier, is this the best way to do it? I don't know. I do feel like we've got a lot going on in the tick. So, not much we can do about this one. We're ticking every entity. I don't think we can improve that bit, but maybe there's a way of not having to do all of this. And as I said, if we want to get the entity type, which I kind of liked, but I mean, you can see what entity you're fighting. Does it need to say zombie above its head when there's a zombie right in your face? So I felt happy changing that. And I think what we would have to do is either every tick, we could slow this down, I suppose. We could do this every 5 ticks, 10 ticks every second. That would be one improvement, I think. That'd probably be a good idea. We could, instead of ticking this, we could run it in a schedule that ran every, 10 ticks. That would already be much better, to be honest. That's probably a good idea. We could mount the entity onto an area effect cloud. We could target the area effect cloud's passenger to get its ID. We could store the ID as a string, and it would say Minecraft : zombie. So we could strip off the Minecraft using a substring, And then we could store that and pass that to the update display. Do we want to be doing that every single time? No. Something else we could do in init entity is we could only do it once. We could do the same thing, mount it onto an area effect cloud, get its ID. We could save that ID to a marker, which is also mounted onto the entity. And we could say, if ID equals Minecraft zombie, then store the word zombie onto the marker. And then later on, we could get that off the marker. Both ways seem very excessive just to have, I mean, here I am, and there is a husk right there. Would it be helpful to have husk written there? I don't think so. That's why I've put level in red. So you can see that it's hostile. Anyway, there we go. That's my first attempt. I was waffling on again. I have a habit of that. Bye-bye. Off you go. That's my first attempt at making a health bar with a bit of information on it. Okay. I will let you go. Enjoy your day. Have fun. Take care. See you all soon. Bye-bye.